Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Be Healed Tuesday. I know LeBron and different ones say it's Taco Tuesday. I get it. But it's Be Healed Tuesday, right? That's right. You've been tuning in. You already know, 7 p.m. We start on time, the best that we can. Okay. I am your host, Camille R. Perry. Welcome to another episode in season 2 of Be Healed. Tonight, I love audience participation. We had a good run last week. You're probably like, dang, she's back. Yes, it's my birthday month. Let me start there. It is my birthday month. The month of May, I celebrate the whole month long. May 24th is the exact day that your life got better in 1984. And if you were born after 1984, your life was already made the better. Okay, anyways. But nevertheless, I'm celebrating the whole month of May, and so I'm gonna do something I haven't done. It's just gonna be me this month, okay? So just hopefully that don't deter you. But we're gonna talk Tuesday nights at 7. About 45 minutes. The max. Okay. But anyways, it's Be Healed Tuesday. It is time for us to have great dialogue. So use that chat. Make sure you subscribe via YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on Facebook, totally great. Set your reminders every time this post to make sure that you are getting notifications. So we had audience participation last weekend. Some audiences mentioning like some things that they wanted to hear, wanted to see, wanted to talk about, and one in particular said, what about the topic regarding? We're going to do it tonight regarding listening versus hearing and vice versa. Are you hearing or are you listening? And so we're going to talk about that tonight. I'm really excited because I do think that we need to kind of deep dive in that just as much as we can to make sure that we are doing our part in doing more listening versus just hearing. So we're going to get into that. But anyways, before I go there, we always have commercials. Always. So the very first commercial that we're going to push for tonight outside of subscribing to YouTube, that's a formality. Be Healed Women's Virtual Conference is happening. Okay, we're going to have some in the building, the rest on virtual. It's going to be amazing. August 19th through the 21st. Ladies, go ahead and register. Fellas, register your mom, your aunt, your sister, your cousin, your wife, your boo, your other boo. Hey, everybody needs Jesus. Okay, let's do that. And you can do that at BeHealedConference.com. $40 registration. Okay, so that's our announcement for tonight thus far. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to focus in on the topic for tonight regarding hearing versus listening. Let me cut that down. So when the topic was brought up, my mind went to a few things because I said, oftentimes I could just think back from being a little kid. When your parents is kind of saying something to you and you hear them, but you ain't listening. Okay, you're not listening. You hear the sound, and so Merriam-Webster's dictionary describes or defines hearing and listening as two different things. Hearing being the ability to actually hear sound, being able to recognize that there's noise happening. I don't know about you all, but like nails to a chalkboard, oh, that sound. Or when somebody's brakes is going bad, that high pitched wail, or you hear that crying baby on an airline flight, you heard it. You heard it. You can hear it. You can recognize it. You can make out the audible noise. But listening is completely different from hearing. Hearing is saying that I recognize, I'm cognizant that this is happening. Listening says that I'm now hearing intentional. I'm being purposeful. I'm being strategic. I'm trying to comprehend and understand. So I was looking at that because there's so many. I mean, literally, y'all could take listening quizzes. I was doing that today um, on my break at lunch in case my boss is watching. I took a quiz regarding listening, and they talk about active listening, and there's the 5 different components of listening, and making sure that it's not just discriminative hearing where you can are listening where you're able to make out the things that were said, or but are you empathetic listening? Are you listening to really understand and hear? Are you appreciative listening? Are you looking to appreciate the other person? I mean, it's listen, everything about everything is on the internet, okay? But this topic, hearing versus listening, is a big thing. So I'm going to talk about a few things, and we're not, and I want to see y'all in the chat. Y'all make comment, do whatever you need to do, participate with me. If you like something, let's go with it. If you're not in agreement, let's talk about it. So when I thought about hearing versus listening, going right back to being a kid, my father, who was definitely the disciplinarian in our house, my mother was the Labella Mafia who put, the henchmen out to do the bidding. Loved both my parents to death, but my parents know that I'm telling the truth. My mother um, would relay the information to my father, and then my father would then handle it. But I remember both of my parents at various times in my life. You hearing me, but you ain't listening. Mommy, it's okay. It's okay. Yes. You already know. Okay. My mom was sick. My dad on her. Okay. I'm going to pause and I'm going to get back to hearing listening, but she's trying to say, wow. So one time in particular, y'all, if y'all on my Facebook, y'all can scroll down and y'all saw a post from one of my flashback Thursdays or throwback Thursdays where in 5th grade, I might have had a problem with doing the right thing in school. Maybe. I think people just didn't understand. They didn't know how great and awesome that I would be. They just didn't understand. They didn't see the potential. So when it came down to report cards, what are you talking about? I'm not turning that in. I'm not submitting that to the parents. My sister, on the other hand, Angela, oh, honey girl would run home. Mom, look at my report card. Now, by the way, we went to the same school. Andy's 3 years older than me. So for junior high, well, for elementary and high school, we had some years together. So during elementary school, I was definitely, no, ain't no report card. I didn't get one. Not at all. Scratch it. So my report card reflected, my bubbling personality. I always got, pleasure to be in class, but, needs to stop disrupting others, needs to stop talking, like those N's, I didn't get all the O's and the S's. It just wasn't like that. It is what it is. Angie bringing home A's and maybe a B, but, she was that kid. So one time in particular, my mother asked for the report cards. I said, ain't no more report cards, didn't get one. My sister freely gives hers. When my report card finally, after duress, I submit mine. She waits. My father's home from work. He's tired. He's caravaned or traveled about 50 miles one way from Los Angeles to Ontario. He's tired. Leave him be. Let him rest. No, she had to tell him. He heard everything that she said. He heard Camille got, Angie got good grades. What did Camille get? I could hear all this upstairs. I'm like, oh, here we go. But what I think was they weren't listening to what was really being communicated on my report card. It wasn't that I was disruptive, and I don't care what Carlene Sanchez says. I was a great student. She knows this. But I do believe when we are trying to reprimand or correct a child, we have to be very intentional to listen to our children. What's at the bottom? What's at the root of it? So all my parents could hear is that Camille is not doing well in class. Angie's doing well. That's good. And they're not listening to the opportunities. I'm gonna make it fit. So, anyways, my father, after he then traveled all the way home, he disciplines me. My mother sipped him on us, and that's what it is. Like, that's what Sandy Care used to do. So, mommy, I appreciate you, love you, you're my best friend, and all that good stuff. But you know you was wrong for that. You could have just let it be. You didn't have to tell him. But hearing versus listening. My parents would tell me, you're hearing me, but you're not listening to what I'm saying. And I thought about this all day because I was just like, I think I've always been a good listener. I think we all say that to some degree because no one wants to be a bad listener. No one wants to say, oh, I'm not listening when you're talking. Nobody wants to say that. You got to be completely apathetic and not care to just tell someone you're not listening. And so I always ascribe myself to think that I'm a good listener, but then I started breaking it down of understanding that listening is being intentional and you're recognizing that there needs to be a change. And my mind went right back. And you all probably heard the story of me saying this before. I was running track in junior high for Miss Kessler over at Gracie Oakley Elementary Junior High, and we were running track, and I was in the lead. I was running. I don't care what it looks like now. There was a time in my life that I ran. I was running, and I was actually in the lead over at Chafee High, and I'm just running. I hear my father. I hear my father. I hear my father saying, Millie, don't look back. I hear him. I'm hearing him say my name, telling me the command of not to look back. But what does Camille do? Camille looks back. So I thought about it today and I said, if I was really listening to him, I would have been intentional and not look back. I would have heard, recognized, yeah, that's dad. He's coaching me. He's letting me know what to do. Okay, got it. And I would have understood and brought in exactly what it is that I was supposed to do, which was not look back. But I didn't. So then I had to realize, no, sometimes I hear things and I'm just not listening. It's not registering. It's not causing me to change actions. Then I thought about like in scripture where oftentimes you'll hear when it says, when you hear my voice, harden not your heart. When you recognize that I'm talking to you, this is God, right? When you recognize that God is talking to you, not to turn away from it, not to try to turn the music up louder because you don't want to hear what he's saying. But not only not harden your heart, but hear him, hear his heart, and then listening, obeying, responding, showing forth what it is that you heard and understood. Then I thought about it from a relationship dynamic. I'm confident there's some men who have been told numerous of times, you don't listen to me, you're not hearing me. That we go through this whole thing and we tell the men what they ain't doing. But in reality, we as humans, male and female alike, we have an opportunity, in my humble opinion, to be better listeners. Not just recognize the sound that's being made, not just, okay, he's talking or she's talking, but truly stop and listen to the music and be intentional with your time. That whatever the person is saying, clearly they feel that it's important enough to share with you. That's why they're speaking. And sit and listen. So these are my thoughts. One of the things that I thought about in regarding hearing versus listening is how often we as people can be in the same room, whether it's a show, whether it's a movie, whether it's like a party, We'll hear the music playing, we'll hear some conversations, but if someone asks, well, what did you hear what this person said? Or did, I wasn't listening. I didn't make it out. I think if we challenge ourselves, this is just my thought, if we challenge ourselves in those environments to stop focusing on the outside noise and listen in for what's being said, what's being communicated, watching the nonverbal cues as well as the verbal cues, I think we might be in a better place. I don't pride myself at being 100% good listener, but I do pride myself at being a person who tries to be more intentional with her time. I have a situation going on right now where no one is listening to one another because everybody wants their way. And when that happens, no one's listening. No one is trying to understand. No one is trying to reconcile and make it. No, because everybody wants their way. It is literally impossible. Impossible. It's impossible. It's impossible for you to truly listen to someone if you're waiting to respond. If everything that's being said to you, you're like, okay, when as soon as I get done, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. You literally have missed 90% of what's been said because you're listening to respond. You're not listening to understand. So I've been challenging myself today and earlier this week with figuring out ways to do better in this category, in this hearing listening category. So here's some things I came up with. Like I told you, I ain't gonna be before you long. If you want to give me a chat, you want to say something, you want to have your moment, come on through. Here's some things that I thought we can do, that I'm going to do. I'm gonna try it. Asking open-ended questions. Instead of making flat-footed statements, ask open-ended questions. So if you're in dialogue with someone, right, you're in dialogue with someone, asking open-ended, poignant questions and waiting to see how they respond. I've been doing that, but not consistently, because I think to some degree we as people want to jump in and like put our cape on and save the day, or we want to tell our story because we feel like our story matters, which it does, but time and place for everything. Or we feel that, okay, I hear what you're saying. Okay, I get all that. But what about, sometimes we just need to stop for a second and instead of responding, ask questions for understanding. Ask more questions. The other thing I thought about doing, and again, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not any of that. I'm just thinking about from a communication standpoint, what can be better. You have an opportunity to not only ask the right questions and pause for a moment, but then ask for clarity. Not even, it's kind of like when you go to a drive through and you tell them your order, then they read it back to you and they say, did I, do that. Do that in communication. Because I think that also stops us from trying to overload the sender receiver. It causes it not to be an overload, not to be a war. I don't even know if this is. Let me not say that. But yeah, I'm gonna go with that one because if you're not, I'm trying to think of the times like Chick-fil-A is really good at this because I think Chick-fil-A is amazing. Chick-fil-A is really good at making sure that they heard you properly, that they want to show you that they're attentively listening to you. They ask you for your name and all this other stuff, right? But Chick-fil-A really wants to make sure, and they're reading your order back, did I get that right? They're asking questions, and that's what shows, and I think their customer service overall is what keeps us going back. Not just the chicken, not just the lemonade, not just the brownies. Listen, it's their customer service. But I think if we want to have that hospitable response or interaction with whether it's a love interest, a friend, family member, or even coworker, we have to be more intentional and do our best with listening. But my mom said true. I know that I have to work on that, but not listening to respond, but sometimes trying to defend my position. Yeah. Okay. Defending, it's interesting that you said that. Defending your position, I don't think everything requires a defense. Some things that we deal with that we are, when someone brings something to us, there's not a need to be defensive. I like Star Trek, always have. But when they would put up their force fields because they're getting ready to go into Klingon territory or, different things, um, they would immediately put their force fields up. But everything doesn't require a combative or a defensive response. I'm going to use an example. A married person, a married wife, says, or even someone in a relationship, let me not just say marriage, says to the significant other, we need to talk. What that person on the receiving end might hear is, I did something wrong, made nothing right. It might, I don't know. But people automatically become defensive. And the we need to talk could be something great. I won the lotto. I got a new job opportunity. It could be anything, but if we approach everything with our defense shields up, that's going to be a problem. As well as like in listening to, and I do believe, and I had this conversation with my father a couple of weeks ago, it's important to hear out everything. Because if you shortchange, if you begin to respond haphazardly, you can cause destruction in the relationship. So again, hearing is being able to audibly make out the sound. Listening is being intentional and applying so you can comprehend, understand, and then respond accordingly or appropriately. So thank you for that. But anyways, I was going to say something else. And I forgot. I'm talking about Chick-fil-A customer service. It's been a day. But anyways, nevertheless, I do believe that we as people have to do better. I think we have to just do better. I know I have to do better. My godchildren, when they were younger, especially when Sonia and Sapati and Tavita were little babies, um, hearing them coo and, make all the baby noises, that was great, right? Their laughter, especially their laughter. Hearing them laugh was amazing. Um, and as they got older and more communicative, hearing them tell their story, hearing them tell me what's going on in school, hearing, and there'll be times that I was listening, like, okay, yeah, oh, really? All right. Other times I was not. I was checked out, checkers, just all the way out. But now that we've gotten older and the girls have grown, Tavita's grown, I find myself more actively listening because I want to know about them. So if by chance you're a parent, guardian, husband, wife, in a relationship, out of whatever your state that might be at this particular point, focus in on this week with actively listening to whether it's a loved one or a friend, actively listening. Be engaged. Make eye contact. With COVID, we weren't able to really see one another, right? We were kind of restricted from gathering together. So Zoom became our modality of communication, FaceTime, and all these different, video portions. Look at somebody when they're talking to you. Make the eye contact. Get engaged. Actively listen. Because I do know people tell you who they really are when they talk. My father used to tell me that all the time. If you listen to them, they'll tell you exactly who they are. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent, they will tell you, but we have to actively listen. Don't just hear them, but listen to what is being communicated. So I think I'm going to finish up because I'm tired. It's been a long day. It's been a hard day today. But pressing forward, I think that we are challenged right now in a place of, yes, thank you. Yes, I agree with that. My friend's saying up here, actively listening is essential. Yes. And some people are really good at actively listening. Very, and it's rewarding to them. It's very rewarding. Rewarding for the person receiving that response that they're actively listening, as well as the sender. It's really good. It's really good. Good stuff. Keep it up. But anyways, um, I think it's important that like during this season of our life and whatever however long COVID lasts, I don't really know what's going on with all this. But just in general, I think we need to be more intentional. Everything that we do needs to be more intentional. I know some folks who are very intentional in what they say, they back up what they do, and it is a breath of fresh air. And that's what is needed. That's what encouraged. That's what it should be the standard. But we have to look in ourselves and ask ourselves, are we measuring up? Am I doing more hearing or am I doing more listening? Am I taking the time out to silence the noise in my own head? And I think that's something else that we don't really talk about, all the noise that we've got going on in our life. We're not really telling and speaking and sharing and actively listening like we do because we're distracted with the complexities of life in our own mind. But sometimes we just gotta steal away, silence all of that so we can truly invest and listen to someone else or listen to what is happening around and really see at the root of it what needs to be done. I think that's okay. I think that's all I got for you last night. It ain't gonna go to 45. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I'm about to wrap this thing up. But I like it. Continue to submit topics. I like this. That's my take on active on listening versus hearing. Again, hearing, y'all heard me. Some of y'all wasn't even listening. That's fine. For those that were, that's good. Like it's you meet the people where you're at. Okay. One last thing that I just thought about this. It's okay if no one, I'm not saying no one, it's okay if you don't feel heard or listened to by some folks. There is an audience for you. I think we often forget about the fact that everybody ain't for everybody. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and everybody ain't my cup of tea. Um, so no, that's fine. But I think it's important for us to make sure that we understand that you don't become siloed off and stuck and halted and stunted where, oh, this person didn't hear me, so I won't never talk, or this relationship went like this, and so I'll never do that again. Hold up, like treat everything as a new moment and understand that maybe it didn't work here, or maybe it didn't pan out, or the result wasn't the way you wanted, but don't stop communicating. Don't stop putting the effort forward. Don't stop applying the tools and the tips and tricks that you learned along the way. If it didn't work with one, doesn't mean it won't work with none. If it didn't work with some, there's still a one. Like, just make sure that you do your part. There's nothing worse than someone being told what they're not good at and then feeling like that's just the sum total of who they are. That's not the case. Maybe that's an area of opportunity. Hone it, get better at it, and apply it. Take those tools and apply it somewhere else. But don't get defeated in it. All right, that's the last thing I want to say. All right. So yes, like check this out. Now let's apply what we learned today. Listen, I hope y'all learned something. I know when I was looking through the difference between hearing and learning and the different types of listening, and I did the little quiz. If y'all just Google it, there's one. It's called mindfultools.com. You can take their listening assessment, and it kind of tells you like what type of listener you are. Um, I've seen some posts where people are saying like, oh, like sometimes when I'm listening to a story, I'll start weighing in with my story, but I'm really hearing you. Well, read the room, make sure that that person, that receiver can understand what it is that you're doing, that in that communication, it doesn't break down. But take a listen, take a look at it. It was some good stuff in there. So here's what I want y'all to do going forward. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. It's going to be a short night. Again, this is my birthday month. You're going to see me on Tuesday. And then starting June through the remaining of the June is actually our 1 year anniversary for Be Healed Web Show. So I'm excited about that. In June, I'm going to have other guests coming on, especially dealing as we're getting closer and closer to the women's conference. We're going to be working through that. But this month, because it's my birthday month, I know last week we talked about making sure we're doing our affirmations. We had our 30-day challenge. If you're not familiar with it, let me just tell you the 30-day challenge up until June 2nd or June 3rd. What we're doing is making sure that we're speaking out and declaring what those things that it is that we want to do, and we're setting our goals and accomplishing it. I've been working out. I've been liking it. Yes, I'm sore. Yes, things ache, but I'm focusing. I'm trying to, as much as I'm tired and don't want to do episodes here and there, I'm staying focused because I want Be Healed Web Show to grow. As much as I'm like, how can I just make sure 150 women register? I got to do the work. So whether I'm tired or fully energized, I'm focused to it. So make sure that you're writing out and declaring those things that you want in your life. And then tonight we'll just do a little tips and tricks on helping us making sure that we're being better people and actively listening and not just hearing the noise. Let's make sure that we're actively listening, paying attention, and giving those folks the intentional time that they deserve because we all deserve it. Okay. All right. So on that note, once again, Be Healed Web Show will be back Tuesday night at 7, same bat time, same Be Healed time, same Be Healed channel. Be Healed Web Women's Virtual Conference is happening once again, August 19th through the 21st of 2021. We're going to have some in the sanctuary or in the church, and the rest will be on Zoom. It's open to everyone. Registration is only $40. Hopefully, you all will register. It's going to be an amazing time, so I'm really looking forward to it. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube. It's my birthday month. The least you all can do is help your girl get to 100 subscribers. That's it. I'm not asking for much. It don't take a lot to make this girl happy. Y'all, those who know me, they know that. I don't require a whole lot. All right. But subscribe to the YouTube. If you're not familiar, just go to YouTube, type in Camille R. Perry, hit the subscribe button, and that way you can get notified when we go on air. And last but certainly not least, these wonderful frames that people always ask me about, these are called the Camille frames. Yes, yes, yes. And you can get those at emframes.com, E as in Edward, M as in Mary, frames.com, and use the promo code CRP15 and watch your life get blessed, okay? All right. If you have a topic, if there's something that you want to like, hey, come on, I want to hear your take on such and such, make sure you contact me at behealedintl@gmail.com. If you're ready to share your story, I have a platform for you. Why not? Listen, somebody wants to hear it. And that somebody is me, but I know there's others as well. So on that note, God bless you. May God keep you. Ladies, I hope to see you at the conference. Fellas, bring them ladies to the conference. Register them. It's not a big deal. You can do it. As well as we'll see you all next Tuesday, same Be Healed time, same Be Healed channel, 7 p.m. Love y'all. Good night.